It's the beginning of February. There are only 3 weeks left in the regular season. The final push before the playoffs leading to the national championships. This is a crucial time for the team to come together.
Well, I think the one thing we want to do is make sure that players understand that as we head into this final part where the pressure is going to be the highest, that they're going to have to also accept that this is a different time in terms of it's really not about what they want, it's what's best for the team.
The coach and his players need to be on the same page. Veteran guard Jeremy Walters doesn't always follow the game plan. But the coach knows that Jeremy is a big reason for the Hawks' success this season.
Come on, Jeremy. He is our best player, without question. He's very talented, and he's emerged over 3 years as a real all-star in this league. Jeremy took us to a #1 ranking and made big shots and big plays.
Basketball has always seemed to be a part of Jeremy's life.
I used to play in the basement with my brother, so just shooting, but young age.
Jeremy lives with his parents, sisters, and older brother Ryan.
I had a nice game. Yeah, he grew up seeing him playing basketball.
Ryan encouraged Jeremy's interest in the game.
I would always come in and watch his games. I basically was there, for him even in middle school. Right?
By the time Jeremy went to high school, basketball dominated his life.
It was always eat, sleep, basketball, nothing else. I mean, go to school, but whenever we had a chance, it was always basketball. Because I'd wake up in the morning, go work on my game, then go to class, lunchtime, play basketball. After school, we had practice. Then probably later on in the night, we'd play again somewhere. So it was always basketball.
After high school, Jeremy approached assistant coach Dave DeVero about coming to play at Humber. Dave invited him to try out for the team.
He was a guy that had no guarantees who came on and who made that team. He's basically made himself the player that he is today, a guy who can take over a game.
I didn't expect him to step in and do this. He didn't even start his first game for Humber until midway through last year, and that was only on a 1 game. So he had never started a game for us other than that one time.
But this year, Jeremy became an explosive force on the court.
I think in the end, he of all of them, he has a passion for the game unlike the others. And I think that's why he is as good as he is right now. He's got talent, but he's got a certain passion.
But Jeremy's passion can get the better of him.
A lot of it's behavioral with him, the way he plays on the court. Body language is always, is not very consistent. Facial expressions, doesn't like to come out when he's taken out, wants to tell other people that they didn't do this and that.
It's more of me just being, a competitor, a real, competitor. So, I mean, I just let them know that, this is why.
And Coach Cates does appreciate Jeremy's competitive drive.
All right, good job, guys.
We can dwell on all the things he doesn't do. What about the stuff that he is doing? And I got to let him know that too. So, he has a little bit more license because that's just the way it is when you have talent,
But the coach is concerned that in the last couple of games, Jeremy has taken too much license.
Jeremy had, I thought, displayed a lot of, immature, poor judgment for a person in his 3rd year around decisions that he made while he was on the court, whether it was fouling with 0.1 seconds left at halftime or, continually objecting to a referee's call resulting in a technical foul. And in just general ways, emotionally, I thought he was really, at times really out of control. He wasn't where he has to be.
One move, good.
Coach Cates can't afford to have his star player go off on his own, not with playoffs just around the corner.
I had to sit down and talk to him, and we had a long talk about it. About what I felt was where he was getting off course and how he had to, you know, conform to, you know, a standard of behavior that is really acceptable.
He's telling me, and I'm just telling him my side of the story. So we're kind of getting his side of the story. I tell my side of the story until I think I'm heard. He tells it till he thinks he's heard, and we move on. I mean, we both understand each other.
Yeah, he says, I understand, and we'll see where it goes, you know.
Tonight, Humber plays George Brown. A win will guarantee the Hawks first place in the regular season. Jeremy is in the starting lineup. The coach hopes he has taken their talk to heart. The Hawks get off to a quick start. They hit from all angles and jump out to an early 10-point lead.
Get up on him.
But George Brown comes roaring back to tie the game. Humber rallies thanks to some great plays by Jeremy Walters. At halftime, the Hawks head to the locker room with an 8-point lead. But they know George Brown won't go down without a fight. Humber is not the only team with an eye on first place. The Hawks need to win tonight's game against George Brown to clinch first place. They begin the second half with a flurry of baskets. With 7 minutes left in the game, the Hawks open up a 15-point lead. But a determined George Brown makes a final run.
Go, go, go!
They climb back to within 7 points.
Go through!
7 points is as close as George Brown gets. The Hawks stamp out the rally and run away to a 17-point victory.
Congratulations for first place. It's a hell of a record right now.
Woohoo! All right, bring it in. Number 1, and holding.
1, 2, 3. Hawks. I need to go to school. Hey, Mike.
The regular season ends next week with a game against Sheridan. 4 days later, the Hawks have lost to Sheridan. The result doesn't affect Humber's first place finish. But it's the team's first loss since the opening game of the season. They didn't take it well.
We weren't dominating or in control like we normally are, especially against a team that, having been our arch rival for 10 years, a team that we seemingly beat rather easily this year, we couldn't handle that very well, you know.
Tempers flared. Players criticized each other. After the game, Jeremy Walters lashed out at the coach in front of his teammates, blaming him for the loss.
Well, he just lost control. He was saying things that in front of the team that were just at times were bizarre, you know, blaming the players, blaming coaches for the fact that we had lost. He totally lost sight of what this was about. I don't remember all the words. They were just truly unacceptable and quite outlandish.
Pretty much angry when I lose, especially if we can win. And that's the most major concern I have. So, I mean, we lost, and I felt like we could have swept them. I didn't think we should lose at all this year. I guess that's where I broke underneath the pressure of losing. And I just basically lost my cool.
The incident has unsettled the team.
Well, I didn't sleep last night. Just coach-player relationships. We have some pretty strong dynamics in our coach-player relationships on this team. Some I've never seen before. Some that I expect. But for the most part, some relationships I don't understand.
We can't waste a season like that. Can't come down to one game, 40 minutes. We can't just self-destruct like that.
Guys just did not feel good about losing, and whatever happened after the game or how guys were talking after games, because we're all sore losers. I'm a sore loser. I don't like to lose.
The coach wants to put the team and Jeremy back on track. But a phone conversation with Jeremy does not go well.
He is prepared to... He hadn't shown any remorse. Now, when I say remorse, he hadn't shown any ability to acknowledge that he had been wrong.
There was still anger flaring. I mean, after we lost to Sheridan, I don't think everything was resolved after we left. So, I mean, over a space of time, things were still left in the open. I mean, the wounds weren't closed.
Coach Cates suspends Jeremy. He's considering making the suspension permanent. Coach Cates has suspended his star player, Jeremy Walters. A lot of coaches would have dismissed Jeremy outright, but Coach Cates won't act hastily. He is aware that his actions can have a big impact on his players. His assistant coach, Dave DeVero, knows it too, from personal experience. Dave has been Coach Cates' assistant for the past 5 years, but their relationship goes back 20 years. Dave played for Coach Cates in high school. Like many of his friends, he was obsessed with basketball. Even his girlfriend, Coretta, now his wife, was a basketball player. The coach quickly became an important figure in the lives of Dave and his friends.
I saw Mike every day because I had him in class. I was one of his classes, but you see him every day in practice. So you spend 2 hours with him every day, and he always had a concern for what was going on in your life outside of basketball.
On court, Dave was a star, but off court, he was struggling.
I really hadn't found myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play basketball. That's how the game had just taken over my whole life. Just wanted to play, and play. That's what I wanted to do, and there wasn't anything else. School was second to playing. If I could find a way to not go to school and play, I would do that.
As he neared graduation, he had to decide what to do. His family wanted him to start earning a living.
So I was getting this pressure about what am I going to do when I finish high school.
You're expected to get your high school, if you get your high school diploma, and then go to work.
Dave wanted a different life for himself.
I never wanted myself to be like my father where he had to work 12-hour days or 2 jobs to support his family. Not disrespecting my father and what he's done and all the hard work he's done. I never wanted to work like that. I told myself I never wanted to be like that.
But he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. He turned to Coach Cates.
But Mike was able to put other thoughts and ideas into my mind about once basketball's finished, what are you going to do? What are your plans? I never really had any. I just thought I'd play basketball forever. But with Mike, he gave me a little direction as far as, university.
It was a big step for Dave. His family had trouble understanding his decision.
No one in my family had ever really gone to high school. No one in the family's ever gone to university. Why are we spending all this money? Why are you putting yourself in the debt to go to school when you can just go out and get a job? So it was a tough part for me to go through.
But Dave persisted. He went on to study and play ball at the University of Ottawa.
And it's funny to look back and see that all those guys that did play went on to a post-secondary education. And a lot of that was to do with Mike, I think. Not just to get us over the hump. We all wanted to go there, but we didn't know how to get there. So it kind of showed us the way.
Dave and Coretta graduated from the University of Ottawa with teaching degrees. When they returned to Toronto to take up teaching positions, Dave was reunited with his mentor. It's Friday. The playoffs are only 5 days away. Jeremy is not here.
Take it down, take it down.
And Dave knows that Coach Cates is facing one of the toughest decisions of his coaching career. What to do about Jeremy.
I just know that, it's a lot of soul searching last night. I didn't sleep very much, if at all, and because it's not something we do around here. I can't recall the last time I, in a sense, banished a player from the team, if in fact I do that.
Coach Cates has meetings with his veterans. He wants to make sure the team understands why he may not take Jeremy back.
There comes a time when you have to do something to prevent what seems to be an uninterrupted pattern. That's all. My style is not to mete out punishment, and I'm saying that in my mind, it's not changing. It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
The players understand Coach Cates' dilemma, but Jeremy is also their teammate.
He's like a big piece in the puzzle, and he knows that. He knows that we need him and stuff, and he's a big part of the team.
Me, I don't personally know what I'd do, because truthfully, I think Mike has been tolerant for a while, for a long time. He has put up with a lot.
Coach Cates isn't ready to make a decision about Jeremy.
Now here's a kid who's been with you almost 3 years, and never easy to coach, but had made some strides, and arguably may have been our best player to date. Tremendous stake in the team, unbelievable passion for basketball. I think he defines himself through basketball completely. And I don't think that's very healthy, but to take that away from him at this point was not going to be easy for me.
Coach Cates puts off his decision until after the weekend.
Find out Monday whether he stays with the team or doesn't, and in what capacity well, I'll just put it this way, we'll take it one step at a time, whether he stays with the team or not.
Jeremy is about to have the longest weekend of his life. On Monday, Jeremy will find out whether he'll be allowed back on the team. Not knowing has been hard to deal with.
Really depressing. Just went home, slept, ate, watched TV, slept, ate, played PlayStation, did some homework.
The thought that he may end up at the national championships as a spectator haunts him.
It would be eating me up inside, thinking I could be on the court playing with all my team players and, you know, them winning a ring. I mean, it would be really depressing. Really, really, really depressing. So, I mean, by like Saturday, you know, I called Mike to find out exactly what time the meeting was going to be on Monday.
The meeting takes place late in the morning. Jeremy has thought a lot about what he wants to say.
Just knowing what we had and what we have experienced all year, to me, to go as far as we did and to lose out on, you know, misbehavior and, you know, just things that I've said, and, you know, I had to make sure at least my wrongs were right. Even though if my career did end, I want to know for myself that I made wrong right.
The meeting lasts for an hour.
In the end, I think he truly acknowledged that he had gone astray and that he had breached certain fundamental rules that he was truly sorry for, and indicated that sorrow rather clearly.
There's mistakes in life that everyone makes, and, you know, you kind of regret it when you actually see yourself where you should be and you're not there.
Later in the afternoon, the team assembles for a special meeting with Athletic Director Doug Fox and Coach Cates. Jeremy apologizes to his teammates, and that is the end of the incident for Coach Cates.
Jeremy's back on this team because I believe he now understands that he has made some mistakes. I want you to support your players and teammates, and I think you can do that.
Everyone is happy to put the incident behind them and move on.
Hey.
The team has weathered the storm.
So that was very good.
From now on, the challenge they face is on the court, winning the playoffs and moving on to the national championships.
Hawks, 1, 2, 3. Hawks!